What do bands like Neutral Milk Hotel, Panchiko and Death Grips all have in common? Well, apart from being the entire personality trait of multiple insufferable individuals, all three bands saw vast success as a result of 4chan's music board, and in turn have become indented into online music culture forever. If you've been on the internet for any amount of time, I'm sure you're aware of what 4chan is. The online image board forum that began in 2003 as a way for NEETs to discuss anime has since morphed into one of the most notorious and influential websites on the internet. Despite its humble beginnings, long gone are the days that 4chan was simply utilized for just the discussion of anime. Nowadays, there are countless boards ranging from My Little Pony to fitness, all housing an active community ripe with inside jokes and delicious echo chambers. What is said by many to be 4chan's best kept secret is its music board. Despite the fact it still has a healthy amount of 4chan degeneracy, the discussions on the board remain artistic and actually beneficial for music as an art form. Whether it be the board's significant role in the popularization of various artists, or even its efforts to attempt to discover and reward the creators of lost or unreleased material, 4chan's music board has had a significant impact on music culture throughout its history. 4chan's music board would be introduced in 2006 and would quickly attract an active community of terminally online music lovers who would actively discuss critically acclaimed and hipster beloved albums. Usually when picturing an online discussion, you'd imagine this. However, at this point in time, the board was relatively, let's say, hive mind-ish and seemed to be on the same page regarding the quality of certain albums. This led to the creation of the first MuCore chart in 2009. The chart featured every album that the board saw as essential listening, and since 2009 has been subject to large amounts of evolution and change. What many of you may notice when viewing literally any MuCore chart is the fact that most feature the exact same album slap bang at the top. Neutral Milk Hotel's In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. The Potato Tambourine Drumhead album would be released on February 10th, 1998, although wouldn't see any real success until years later. They would attract an early cult following a few years after the project's release. You see, lead singer Jeff Mangum had decided to engage in the greatest form of music promotion, which consists of not promoting your music at all and just going into hiding. This form of promotion apparently actually works, as various fanatics and music journalists would actually attempt to search for Mangum in order to conduct an interview to find out more about the man behind the project and whether any new Neutral Milk Hotel albums are in the works. Although the search was eventually successful, Mangum wasn't particularly happy when found and chose to remain quiet in regards to his music. This lack of communication from the artist seemed to plant the cultish seed for In the Aeroplane Over the Sea. The fans of the project were forced to just consistently re-listen to the same album over and over again, with zero promise of anything new in the future, slowly morphing it into a beloved cult project full of quotable lines and plenty of distorted clipping. The obscurity of the band forced fans to message boards like 4chan in order to discuss their love for the album with similarly passionate fans. This continued, and over time the album morphed into one of 4chan's most powerful music memes. Not only was the album slapped all over every single recommendation chart, but elements of the album art and project were forced into pretty much any meme imaginable. And if you know anything about 4chan, you know any meme worth seeing is bound to escape the autistic confines at some point, resulting in this particular image being posted all across the internet on any and every social media. This obviously led to countless curious individuals who would attempt to research the Potato Head project they had seen posted everywhere. These searches usually led them to websites like Pitchfork, who would consistently throw 10 out of 10 reviews in the album's general direction. By 2013, the album had even become a key element of the pinned post on the board, meaning every single motherfucker who decided to visit 4chan's music board was visually harassed with this image. All this has cemented In the Aeroplane Over the Sea as essential entry-level listening for pretty much anyone who owns a mouse, keyboard and has an interest in music. To this day, it consistently sees some of the highest album sales for any indie record, often beating out new releases. In the Aeroplane Over the Sea will inevitably go down as one of the most recognizable albums in history, all thanks to a music board full of autists and degenerates. So according to my previous yapping, 4chan's music board was able to boost the popularity and relevance of a project that already saw a small amount of success that was widely available to consumers. What about a band that saw such little success during their original run that many of their albums were considered lost to time for many years? This would be the fate of 90s slowcore band Duster, who are now very successful thanks to a Zoomer's desire to be unique on TikTok, although if it wasn't for 4chan's music board, the band would likely still be stuck within the musical abyss. Duster would release 2 albums between the years of 1997 and 2000, playing a few shows and having a small presence within the industry through interviews and articles, although nothing major enough for them to be greatly missed if they were to suddenly disappear. Unfortunately, disappearance would be the eventual fate for Duster, and this was fully cemented when the founder of their record label unfortunately passed in 2000. Duster Records officially went out of print, and the band, alongside the majority of their projects and music, faded into obscurity. Although what was left of the band was limited, the band still made a small footprint within their 3-year run, and according to the story, a song of theirs would be featured in an early 2000s skateboard video on YouTube, catching the eyes and ears of a few listeners. The band and their music would subsequently spread exclusively through word of mouth and extensive autistic research, eventually resulting in various Duster discussions throughout /mu. Unfortunately, at this point in time, users of the image board had very little to go off when discussing Duster, which quickly created a mystique surrounding the band, which eventually reached a level of obsession for some users. They would continuously dig through the internet attempting to find anything that may resemble a Duster release or interview. This eventually led to the creation of a paste bin named /dust, which would include anything Duster related that had been dug up by that point. /dust neatly organized all Duster information in chronological order and would continue to expand in depth and information as time progressed. /mu's efforts alongside the creation of the paste bin allowed the fandom to spread much faster than ever before. Prior to /dust, the band were extremely inaccessible and niche, meaning most individuals interested would likely give up their search before even finding a full album. Thanks to the paste bin, anyone who may have stumbled across Duster by chance were able to actually view and interact with something that resembled a discography. It made the artist approachable as opposed to essentially lost to time. This quickly and inevitably resulted in original Duster vinyl pressings selling for huge markups online, which alongside consistent online bartering from superfans towards the band began to draw the attention of the original members of Duster, who would decide to re-release a few of their vinyls before reuniting for a tour, although they were all still very confused at the idea that a group of internet bogans had been passionately listening to their music for years without them realizing. A few years later, TikTok happened and the band blew up even more than they had ever before, and their music has seen more widespread attention than it ever has in the past, all thanks to a few autists posting on the then obscure online music board. 4chan have gone to such lengths to help popularize the music they are most passionate about, so much so that they have actively searched for what they thought was a lost album for multiple years. The most prominent example of this is of course Panchiko, a band that as of today are extremely successful, touring all over the world and playing countless festivals with some of the biggest names in alternative music. What you may not know, however, is the fact that without 4chan's music board, Panchiko and their music would likely have remained within the depths of obscurity. On 21st of July 2016, a post would appear on /mu with an image of a strangely intriguing CD entitled Death Metal. According to the poster, he would find the CD at a local charity shop, completely unaware of the band and their music. After online research led to zero information, the poster would decide to ask the users of /mu if they had any more information regarding the band. The poster would eventually upload a ripped copy of the CD so users were able to hear the actual music. Unfortunately, thanks to a heavy amount of disc rot, the CD was essentially inaudible, or beautiful and vastly improved depending on how far gone you are. The quality of the audio immediately raised suspicions. Many users pointed out the fact that the original post could just be a well thought out publicity stunt with the goal of promoting a new band. Although this became the favoured explanation for many users, the music was still extremely appealing and began to develop a small cult following online. As a lack of any follow-up music from the supposed band completely disproved the publicity stunt theory, the search would continue, harbouring a much larger community thanks to a YouTube upload of the album that went semi-viral. Users would decide to look towards the barcode on the original CD, which led them to an Oxfam shop in Nottingham. They then decided to dedicate individual searches for each of the names on the back of the CD within that area, specifically focusing on the most unique name, Owain. The search led them to an old forum profile, as well as the Facebook of who they believed to be the lead singer of Panchiko, and after Owain responded to a message confirming he was the lead singer, 4chan had finally found Panchiko on the 21st of January 2020, just under 4 years after the original post. The members of the band would join the Panchiko Discord, shedding light on information regarding the album and its recording. When prompted to release the original master, Owain was certain it was lost to time, although after a few days of digging, the CD-ROT free version of death metal was released to the public. The band has since reformed, and since the death metal saga, have performed at various shows and festivals and released entirely new music. Panchiko have essentially become a mainstay in the modern alternative music scene, all thanks to the efforts of a few users on /mu. Although these specific cases prove the influence /mu has in terms of individual projects, we can look outside of these cases towards countless artists that can attribute a portion of their success to /mu. 4chan's music board has essentially become the most established and recognized online subculture for the discussion and promotion of alternative music. /mu's influence has even reached online music critics like Anthony Fantano, who would frequent the board in his youth, resulting in his early fan base primarily being made up of /mu users. And obviously it can't be denied that Fantano has been pivotal in the collective hive mind opinion of every pretentious music nerd that lurks on the internet. I find that /mu's discussion often differs from any contemporary alternative online music board, specifically because it actively promotes unpopular opinions and limits gatekeeping. Unlike websites like Reddit, an upvote or downvote feature doesn't exist on 4chan, meaning all opinions, regardless of their popularity or social worth, are placed at an equal level. It creates an environment that actively promotes the expansion of thoughts and opinions in terms of music. No beloved album will be without its haters, and no loathed artist will be without their defenders. And most importantly, none of these opinions will be buried by some sort of algorithm. If you're able to dig through the bait, insults, and obvious troll posts, /mu has the ability to harbour some of the most honest and beneficial conversations within music. The board even manages to positively distance itself from the likes of publications like Pitchfork. Whereas review websites tend to present their ideas in a closed-off way intended for a specific audience, /mu, albeit loud and extremely autistic, is entirely an open discussion where anyone and everyone can share an opinion of music without the need to cater to some sort of turbo hipster crowd. The open, free-flow nature of /mu has even led to various artists utilizing the board as a way to self-promote. Most notably, Death Grips, who had seen much of their early attention stem from Mu, would post clues regarding future projects on the website, so sweaty melon brains could fill their valuable time with MC Ride-related McDonald's mazes on the internet. Although at first it's hard to imagine the idea that a singular image board full of jobless neats could make much of an impact towards the cultural Goliath that is alternative music. Although the more you explore the various ways in which Mu was able to make a splash, it all begins to make more and more sense. Although the board still has much of 4chan's overall sensibilities, it's clear the users have a passion for the topic of music, so much so that they have gone to great lengths to locate and distribute music that would likely be lost in an abyss of obscure YouTube videos and charity shop shelves if it wasn't for the efforts of /mu. Although, scratch everything I've said in this video, they have allowed this, or this to become the main personality trait of at least 1% of the Western population, and that is inexcusable.